research concentrates on the definition of a subset of performance specifications that enable building managers to make better decisions during operation. My research concentrates on standardized and approach methodologies that extract the information. So it's well known that buildings are complex structures and they evolved across the years. And with this evolution, they also started contributing for the overall consumption of the primary consumption of in the world. So they're responsible for 40% of the consumption, and they're responsible for around 36% of the greenhouse emissions. So when we look at individual buildings, we have different systems inside of the building. And then during operation, usually it's the building manager that's the person that is responsible for taking the decisions to improve the environmental and energy performance. But depending on the scale of the building, that building manager can be one person or it can be a building management team. And he is always looking to improve the energy performance of the building. And for this reason, he's always trying to look at targets and metrics. So my research, it's divided in 4 main stages. So the first one is the information exchange process. So on my research, I defined how that information is captured and delivered during operation. Then the next step is look at the building manager. What is his role and what is the impact of his decisions during operation? Then based on that, I subdivided this subset of information in 9 business processes. And then I subdivided this business process and exchange requirements. Once I have this subset of information, I then map this information to IFC schema. And then using IFC MVD, I'm able to extract that information and use during operation. So then during operation, the building manager collects this set of information, and through the PDCA cycle, he can then make better decisions to improve the environment and energy performance of the building. Thank you.
You have 1 minute left.
Well,
okay.
30 seconds.
I'll pass on the microphone.
Sergio, how is your work different, or what does it add to previous and existing European-wide efforts on energy, building energy efficiency, etc.?
So looking at that, I kind of looked at the standards available on the market, and then based on that, I defined this subset of information. So when you look at the way that information is transferred from handover to operation, these key parameters is missing. I cannot show all of them, but it's a total of 60 exchange requirements that needs to be transferred to the building manager. And this information is usually missing during operation. So the difference is that this information that I defined, it's not available for him or for the building manager to be able to make decisions during operation.
Overall, I got the idea, but I still couldn't figure out whether, what was the contribution. So are you trying to develop the process, or are you trying to implement a system?
So the overall contribution is the exchange requirements, so the set of information that is delivered to the building manager, and then also using the available standards, so like open standards, that's how the methodology then I extract that information.
Right. And in what format is the requirements?
So the requirements, they're in plain format, but then I mapped them to IFC, and then using the MVD, I then extract them during operation. So the whole idea is to have to take advantage of the information that's already in building information modelings, and then based on that, then transfer that information over.
Right. So it would be good for all of us as well if you could just explain the research methodology and how do you validate whether the requirements you got are actually meaningful. Yeah.
So like the whole idea was through the MVD, but because like it's really hard to implement an MVD in a BIM software. So what I did on my research, I took an existing building and I compare what information they have during operation with the set that I described, so I defined it. So looking at that, like I would say more than 50% of the information was missing from what I defined. So that was the way that I kind of tried to implement and prove my research.
So are you saying that you're just transferring information, or are you also doing modeling during that process?
No,
are you producing data? Are you producing any other
so I'm
just
not,
information?
Yeah, just information.
Okay, I also had a question. So I know that you're now working in BAM
Yeah.
as a BIM manager, and we have done all of this research. So, how to use it now in practice, and what would be your recommendation for future PhDs, or what would be the key PhD proposal you would see you would like to see implemented?
So, like looking at, like from my experience working with BUM, I noticed that all of this information that I define, it's usually not there. And then when talking to FM people, they also said like this information, if it's read available for them, would be beneficial for them to make better decisions. So, what's the second part of the question?
So for the next PhD, you have 200,000 euros. You can make the new next PhD proposal and fund it and so on. What would be the topic, the key topic related to this?
So the key topic that I would kind of advise, it's because like I adopted the MVD methodology, so it would be in a way that allows people that it's developing new MVDs to be able to implement that in BIM softwares. So like do all the research around that MVD XML format and all the MVD methodology in order, because like every use case is going to be unique, and then in that case, we need specific MVDs if we want to use IFC. So in that case, probably that implementation would be something that it's good.
Okay, thank you very much.